Well, friends from Mundo Martini back from Manchester, we're going to do the Wyscout report. You already have the notes for both teams, of course, the video from Etihad right after the match that I mentioned on Movistar. Let's get into the Wyscout report. We'll listen to Carlo Ancelotti and analyze a few aspects of Real Madrid, looking at many of their players with the Wyscout report, and also why Manchester City has lost that sense of identity and what I expect for the return match. We will have time to make videos of the return match, the preview, etc. But what I'm hoping for right now, just a little after the match. All right, let's go. All right, let's go. Friends from Mundo Maldini. This image of Ruben Diaz after Ibrahim's goal to tie the score at 2 and Bernardo Silva's goal defines a little bit of what the match was like. Manchester City were dominated for many minutes by Real Madrid, who created many goal-scoring opportunities, many more than we could have imagined, of course, and also made huge mistakes in the start. Madrid played a very good game. They won fairly. For me, the score was even low. I said it in the broadcast. I said it in the post-match video, and I say it here too. This is a save that Ederson made in the first few minutes against Kylian Mbappe. Madrid created enough chances to win by a landslide. That's the reality. I want to analyze a lot of things from a tactical point of view as well. You're going to see things that will surprise the players. But first, let's start by listening to Carlo Ancelotti, who is going to talk about the changes made to the team after halftime.
We have fixed two things. In the high pressure, because 2 or 3 times we have not overcome the pressure, well, they have looked for us on the counterattack. One has been the goal. The other has been the ball that Asensio has recovered with De Bruyne. As for the rest, we haven't changed anything with the ball. The truth is that Rodrigo and Vinicius have stayed out and created a lot of danger from the outside. Just stay calm because, as I said, the first half was a knockout match. We didn't need to go crazy to recover the score. We just kept playing like that.
The result could be, well, it could be good. And in fact, Real Madrid found it because it's true that they created a lot of danger. They created a ton of danger. Let's take a look at something from the Wyscout report. I usually start by looking at more player-related things. But I want to focus on this Wyscout report. Look at the average position of the players in the team. During the match, if we compare it to what it was last season, it's a whole different world with Real Madrid, even more advanced. We see City with Haaland in a central position a bit higher than the man more advanced, but Real Madrid has 3 players very high up, especially. What was Real Madrid's distribution in terms of possession, the ball circulation of Real Madrid? Because I think Madrid played a great match, except for a stretch in the first half where they struggled a bit. They played a great match. Look at the difference we're going to see with Manchester City. This is it. What you're seeing is already Real Madrid. Here it is, friends of Mundo Maldini. Now we see it here. Perfect. These are just combinations of 3 passes. But notice that Madrid has a lot of width. They have quite a bit of width. Although the fullbacks don't get very high, they do connect with Vinicius and they connect with Rodrigo, who plays a lot inside. But look at the difference between this. Look at Valverde's average position, practically in midfield, being the fullback. This somewhat defines what Real Madrid did, of course, but look at the difference here. Notice the width of Real Madrid compared to Manchester City. Now let's take a look at Manchester City. Look at where Manchester City has their fullbacks. Of course, he brought Guardiola inside, which we're going to see now, and I have to say, he had a great game. He brought Guardiola inside and also pushed Kanji quite a bit inside. And it's a team that practically had no outlet on the sides. They played very much through the middle. And notice, the few combinations there are between players, yes, between the center-backs and midfielders in this case, but not between midfielders and forwards. Look at how few combinations there are, how thin the lines are, very few combinations. It's a City that's unrecognizable in many ways. Among other things, we're going to look at Guardiola because I've prepared some points for you, friends of Mundo Maldini. Look, the thing about Guardiola seems very important to me. There was a detail that I mentioned right at the beginning, almost the first comment I made in the match. Look at Bernardo Silva, how he moves from the midfield to quite close to the area. Why could he do that? Because Guardiola was playing in this position. The fullbacks inside, Akanji and Guardiola inside, and Bernardo Silva higher up. Another thing is that De Bruyne didn't really work well. He was practically invisible. And for me, John Stones did a good job. Now, we talk a lot about Madrid, but for me, John Stones did a good job. Now, I'm going to show you some stats on John Stones so you can see the work he did. I think John Stones worked well for Guardiola in the midfield during the first half. Another thing was the second half when he put him in as a centre-back. But look at John Stones' first half. 74 actions in the whole match, but especially a 93% passing accuracy. And look at Stones' first half. playing in the midfield. He only lost one action the entire first half. Just one action in the entire first half. Just one. In the second half, he lost a few more, but for me, he had a really good game. What happened is that he ended up playing as a centre-back, and there he obviously lost his impact. But of course, if we look at the players from Real Madrid, there were some who were at an exceptional level. Let's take a look at Jude Bellingham, who had an outstanding game for me. Jude Bellingham had 64 actions, 42 of them successful, which is 66% and 87% passing accuracy. He had an outstanding game, especially in the second half. He grew into the game in the second half. It's true that he loses a lot of duels in the first half. Many duels when he's near the area, but I think his improvement in the second half was absolutely crucial. For me, Jude Bellingham's improvement in the second half was crucial, and I said it during the broadcast. And I mentioned it in the post-match video, because I believe it was like that. Then I'm going to show you more things about Manchester City. But I really liked what Vinicius did. Vinicius' game was decisive because his ability to destroy Vinicius' fullback was tremendous. Again and again, he ends up giving that pass for the goal, for Jude Bellingham's third goal, which he later half-jokingly said he had given to Bellingham. I really think he plays forward, and Jude Bellingham comes along and scores the third goal. But Vinicius had a really good game. They couldn't handle him. There wasn't a fullback capable of defending against Vinicius yesterday at Manchester City. That is the true reality of what happened. And if we look at Vinicius, we can clearly see it here. Friends of Mundo Maldini. Now we continue listening to Carlo Ancelotti, but here you have Vinicius clearly. With 74% passing accuracy. Check this out. This is the key to Vinicius. 9 of the 10 dribbles he attempted were correct. 90. This is very hard to see in elite football. It's very hard to see a player who attempts 10 dribbles and succeeds in 9 of them, especially when almost all of them are in very dangerous areas. I think this is key in the outstanding game that Vinicius had, and I want to emphasize the performance he put in. Look, this is the position he needs to move in, especially in the second half, working and winning actions in his own half. But notice, all the actions he was winning close to the wing, and many of them were crucial because there was truly no way to stop Vinicius yesterday. Manchester City had no way to stop him. Let's listen to Carlo Ancelotti.
No, I don't think so. I don't think it was a good game. I was expecting this match because it's a complete game for the team on an offensive level. For me, for a long time, we've had the doubt, can this team achieve balance? Today, the team showed that it is possible. If there's a good dose of sacrifice, it can be done. Today, they sacrificed everything. The quality of the team is undeniable.
Ancelotti insists a lot on sacrifice, and it's logical because he knows that at this level, everyone has to defend. And yesterday, the team logically did that. I was showing you the data from the match, the cold stats, as I like to call them, from the game. Look, Madrid shot 19 times with 8 on target. Remember the match from last season where there was no way to get out of the midfield? Now I'm going to explain why. 8 on target, Real Madrid shot 19 times while City had 8 shots with 3 on target. The difference was huge. Did City have more time on the ball? Yes, 56-44, but quite far from the area. Two teams that allowed very few long possessions. Here we can see it. Very few long possessions. 7 for City, 5 for Real Madrid. By the way, you tell me that you really like these Wyscout report videos, so I'm going to keep making them, of course, here on your channel, which is growing tremendously. Offensive actions, 30 for City, 30 for Real Madrid, the same, but 7 shots on one side, 18 on the other. That is to say, out of the 30 offensive actions that Madrid had, 60% resulted in shots, while Manchester City only had 23% with their shots. I think it's impossible not to recognize the superiority of Real Madrid in this match. I think it's impossible not to recognize it, among other things, because City has lost their great identity, which is something I will insist on later. While we see Kylian Mbappe here and his rather lucky shot, let's not kid ourselves. I mentioned it yesterday in the video and during the match with the equalizer at 1. But why has it lost its identity? Remember what this Manchester City was like. They were a team that really pressured you a lot. Look, this is with the score at 1 all already. Here you have it. This is at the 69th minute, meaning it was a bad result for City and Madrid was bringing the ball out. Notice how instead of pushing up to press, they were waiting. They were pressuring with the looks of De Bruyne, Haaland, Foden, Bernardo Silva, Kova, and Savinho. This is what Manchester City has lost. This is what Manchester City has clearly lost. Here we have another case, still tied at 1 with 73 minutes gone, and look at this. Kevin De Bruyne, Haaland, and Foden are practically just watching as Madrid brings the ball out. This is Ceballos, and Bellingham is quite calm. He clearly has a passing lane. to Mendy, even to Vinicius, who we can see right here on this side. In other words, City wasn't like this. And it's true that Madrid had moments of high pressing because they knew they would need it. For example, look at this play we have here right at the start of the match. The first 15 minutes for Madrid were very good, and they came out pressing Manchester City. And notice how several players come in to press City, and Guardiola, who had to play in this position, here we have him, was logically a constant lifesaver in the build-up, but look where Stones is in the area. It's a team that takes risks in their build-up, and by taking those risks, they made several serious mistakes that ultimately cost them the match. Because incredibly, despite Real Madrid's superiority, the reality is that with just a few minutes left. Here we have another image of Mbappe's goal. With 15 minutes left, 10 minutes, Real Madrid was losing the match. Manchester City was winning, which was a real accident considering what the match had been like, a real accident. Madrid turned it around and ended up winning the match, I say, with total justice. Let's continue listening to Carlo Ancelotti, one more detail, and we'll be closing this report. Wyscout, we heard. Carlito, there we have it.
Yes, this is the way. We've been talking about it. We've thought about it not just for this match. We've been discussing it for a long time, but this is the way. The real season starts now, and despite the difficulties, we managed to pull off a very good match, a very good result, because I think we need to highlight everything a bit, but the four at the back had never played together. I mean, they had never even trained together, and they played a spectacular match. The two center backs, the one who was heavily criticized, had a spectacular game. Valverde did very well, Mendy too, and Raul continues to surprise. Given his maturity, we were able to pull something good out of the emergency situation. Well, Ancelotti clearly says it. Asensio was sensational. I told you yesterday, I think he had an outstanding match. Asensio was spectacular. And here we have this image of Pep Guardiola. Of course, Madrid won't take it easy for the return leg. That would be a mistake. City has very good players. Logically, they will come out strong. They have to come out strong because I think if they get eliminated at the Bernabeu, which right now seems most likely after the first leg and how the team is doing, I think it would be the end of an era for Manchester City. It's the end of an era, and renewing the squad with several players is absolutely key for the immediate future of Manchester City, or else the immediate future of Manchester City can't be extended any longer.
So we will have time to analyze the return match, which I will comment on Movistar at the Bernabeu next Wednesday, because before that we have a lot of things, starting with the Champions League matches tonight, of which you will have videos, of course, of the matches. A hug, bye.